Hey, everybody, it's me, Mark Wiggins. Welcome to Off the Bench magazine. I am your host, Mark Wiggins, and we are doing our thing again and have a wonderful, wonderful guest on. We have Tracy Hamlin on us. Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Hello. Hey, I'm wonderful, just wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Mark. I really appreciate that. You see me.
Well, I see you, and I appreciate you taking time and being in places to be seen. So, Tracy, before we start the show, I don't do bios, I don't do intros, and yours is a healthy one. So, why don't you tell the people what you want them to know about you and what you're doing?
All right. Well, my name is Tracy Hamlin. I'm born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I started singing at a very young age. I come from a musical family. And so we lived in what I call the community house. We always had company. And, my mother sang, my father sang, and I had three older brothers that would imitate the Jacksons and the Temptations. And so when one wasn't available to be there, I would fill in. And then I got so excited about filling in that when they all were there and I couldn't fill in, I was annoyed. So I went solo at 5 years old. Like, I'm tired of being this stand-in person. I want to sing all the time. So at 5, I just started you singing along to Shaka Khan and Natalie Cole and Patti LaBelle. And then by the time I got like maybe 7 or 8 years old, my neighbors, when they had dinner parties, would call my parents and say, "Hey, can Tracy come over and sing for us? We'll pay her." So as a little girl, I would go entertain my neighbors and their guests. And then at age 11, I got in my first band. It was so interesting because my brother took me to an audition, and the band, they kind of laughed, thinking, "Oh, this little girl wants to be in our band. How cute. But since she's here, let's just let her audition." But she ain't getting the gig. But they heard me sing, they loved me. And that Saturday, I was on their gig. And that started my journey of getting paid to sing in bands. And at 11 years old, I was traveling along the East Coast doing private events with this band, and I've been singing in bands ever since. So then from there I went on to become classically trained. So I had 5 years of classical training, singing songs in French, German, and especially Italian. And, so from there is where I got my vocal foundation, because while I didn't enjoy the experience, it wasn't until it was over that I realized that I should have really taken even more advantage. But because of that technique that I gained from being classically trained is why I have the vocal foundation that I have today. And so from there, I went on to teach music appreciation. Well, even before that, I did the whole pageant scene. I was Miss Baltimore, I was Miss Maryland, and and that helped me to it helped to really build my self-esteem, and it really helped me to gain confidence. And from there, by 2004, 2005, I was unable to get a record deal. I had done a million demos. I was singing all over the place.
Mm.
And because I was a versatile singer, because I did country, jazz, rock, rap, I did a little bit of everything. Record labels, they want to pigeonhole you. They want you to be in one box. And if they can't figure out what you are, they don't want to deal with you. So I decided to start my own label. So I couldn't get a label, I couldn't get a deal. So I started my own label, DMH Records, my late mother's initials, Dorothy Marie Hamlin. And, so during that time, from then to now, I've recorded 5 CDs,
Mm.
and working on number 6. So super proud of that. And, when I didn't get booked for gigs, I became a promoter and created my own. And when I wasn't getting booked for festivals, I started my own. So I have a festival and concert series called Sweet Jazz. And what I love about the festival and concert series is that it allows me to use my platform as well as music as a catalyst to give back to the community. So with each event that I do, I give 2 music scholarships to students to have private music instruction in the community, as well as giving a donation to a local charity. And I usually perform with my full band and background singers. I also bring in another international artist, as well as spotlight on a local artist. But the scholarship recipients, they perform as well. So I just love that being a recording artist and pursuing my dream to be a singer helped me to find my purpose, which is giving back and serving my community.
And that's the end of our show today. We want to thank Tracy Stiles. Listen, you have done a lot. That's That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that intro. Like again, there's no way I could ever have done that justice. I think this is way more important that you say these things because I'm listening. And so I got questions. I told you I'm gonna have some questions. So
Okay.
go talk to me about the difference. I've heard this artist, I've been classically trained to do the classics. What really does that do for you and how does it help you as a singer or as an artist become a better?
Yeah, it helps me because I had a lot of bad habits that, I wasn't breathing properly. I was not concerned about just the technical piece, meaning diction and having that discipline as a singer. So when I first started my lessons being classically trained, I was in a band and I literally quit the band because doing one negates the other. So I would learn how to sing properly and then go do a gig and I'm back to my old habits. So I quickly realized that I couldn't do both. And I went with the classical piece, but it was just so interesting because I just did not like it. But when it was all said and done, I realized what a fool I was and how if I didn't have the classical training that I have, I would not still have the range that I have, the power that I have, or the discipline because my largest fan base has been overseas from the start. And with me traveling to different climates, time zones,
Mm.
because of what I learned through my classical training, I have never had any kind of vocal issues. And I have allergies, I have asthma, and I know what to do to keep the machine running because I always let people know of all the instruments in the world, the voice is the only instrument that is internal. So what happens to your body happens to your instrument. So if I don't take care of my body, I can't sing. And that classical training is what helped to give me the discipline and technique that I need to maintain great vocal health as I travel the world and sing. Because I performed in it's 58, 59, somewhere around there, 58, 59 different countries.
Oh wow.
I know, right? It's still when I say it, it's like, oh
That's a
my goodness.
lot. Like you don't ever like you're always on the go. I mean, that is, but
Yeah.
so when you're in your passion though, you don't, do you see this as work or do you see it as something that is like God given that you got to do?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the travel can be a little bit tedious, but then I have to remind myself that, you could just be in the middle of nowhere doing absolutely nothing. So it comes with the territory. So, for me, it's all about just preparing so that I can enjoy the complete journey.
Hmm. Now, do you still train? It's, to me, what you just explained would be the similar to basketball fundamentals. Like
Mm,
you don't have the fundamentals down, whether it's
right,
shooting, defense, whatever. Your game is trash, or it's going to be always be off. You may be good, but you
right.
you lack something. Do you still practice and work the fundamentals, if you will?
I still take voice lessons.
Mm,
Yeah, and I mean, I tell people all the time that, you have to stay in it. And when I meet vocal coaches that don't really do this, I kind of don't understand because I feel like a lot that because I was a vocal coach for 20 years
mm,
and just because I was just so passionate about when I thought about my journey and what I needed to succeed, I know that a lot of people don't have that, so I think it's so important for me to give back. And it's important for me to stay in practice so that I can continue growing and continue getting better.
hmm. I love it. I love and that ties into the off the bench mantra, right? The mindset is you have to get up and go get involved. You never stop
Absolutely.
working. And I always have to say, we're getting better than yesterday, and everybody say better because I don't want to be the best because at some point the best it means there's no more room for growth, right?
No, thank you. I think is so important because, like, for instance, my husband is my number one fan. So
Mhm.
he always says, "You are the best singer in the world." But even though he thinks that, and there are other people that think I'm just incredible, it's always a whole bunch of folks that think, "Oh, she is trash." You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like no matter how great I could think I am or other people think I am, there's always room for improvement.
That is
You
that's
stand back.
that right. It's got to have that flexible mindset. People say, "Oh my God, Mark, I heard you speak." When we met, I was doing that workshop, and a lot of people
Right.
hadn't speak before. Oh my God, you know how long I've been working at this, and how I continue to work at it. Podcast interviews, still writing for the magazine. All those are exercises for me to work on my voice, delivery, storytelling. All of that matters. So when you stand up and people go, "That was amazing," you go, "Yeah, but I kind of messed up over here." But that's not for you to know. That's just me. Because everybody should have a
Oh,
coach.
you were such a natural. I thought you were such a strong speaker that day. So you're a natural. It
Oh,
was great.
thank you. But like you, I work still at it. I still have coach, right? I still work on my skill set because I'm telling other people you need to continue to work. So you got to keep working or you will be a hypocrite. But
Right.
it's the same mindset. I love the fact and hope the people out here watching and listening who are working on that craft, that thing, recognize you've got to get the support. You got to keep working at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have at one point, whenever there were friends that were going on the road with Justin Bieber or some of these major artists, I was everybody's go-to person like Tracy. I'm going on the road because I'm that girl that when I get into a situation, I learn what tools I needed that I didn't have. And then I create those tools for people coming behind me
Yeah,
because I think it's important to set people up to win.
yeah, exactly right.
So when people were going on the road, what should I do? How should I be? What do I need? So I started giving people going on tour baskets. This is everything you need. And then that got a little expensive. So I just created a Word doc that going on tour, I email it. This is all the stuff that you need to get.
Mm. And now do you still tour with nationally any known artists? Do you still solo in? You got your own thing running? You're
So
more. What are you doing now?
work is starting to come back post COVID,
Mm.
and but I haven't been traveling the world as much as I did before COVID. And I perform sometimes with Will Downing. I perform sometimes with Peebo Bryson, but I haven't done anything with them out of the country. The majority of the work out of the country was solo work, or when I sang with Gloria Gaynor. And when I was on the road with Gloria Gaynor, I was also often her road manager because I would step in whenever her road manager wasn't there, and that was often. And but I first started touring the world when I was with jazz group Pieces of a Dream.
Oh yes, I saw that. Aren't they from here? Where are they from? Or
They're from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Yes, they were in DC all the time. And
Yeah, exactly. They were. Yeah, my first gig with them was in DC.
I probably saw you. Was that what 75, 76 when you were there? No. No, I've only been there since '93. So no, piece of a dream. So that's amazing that you still have that passion and drive to get out and do those things and sing and whatever. So your projects that you're working on, you said you're working on a new CD right now.
Yes, so I'm trying to finish up. I'm behind schedule, but I'm doing a Christmas EP. So last year, I released an original Christmas song written by my dear friend Rodney Shelton in Charlotte, North Carolina, called Christmas with You. And when I tell you, he just really put his foot in that song. It is a great song. And so I'm doing a couple of covers that I'll leave as a surprise.
Oh,
And it'll be an EP. So it'll be the song that I released last year, plus four new songs that I've recorded in the last couple of weeks. And then at the beginning of the year, I'm going to start working on a jazzy R&B EP to be released in the spring. So it'll
that
be that'll be CD number 7 because
mm,
the Christmas EP will be number 6.
okay. All right. It's November, so it's coming out when?
It's coming out the second week of November. But see, the great thing is it's on my label. So
Mm,
it's
mm.
not like a major label, you got to get in line and it could take a year and a half, a year and a half, 2 years. When it's on my label, I can say when, and all I got to do is go into my account and set up everything and it can be out there in no time.
So it's basically almost like saying self-published for people who write books. That
Exactly.
okay. All right.
Exactly.
I'm tracking. I'm tracking because the music thing has
Yeah.
always been fascinating. There's what you see, and then there's what goes on to get to that point that people don't know about. The grind
Exactly.
of it all. The grind of it all. So
It is great.
when you're singing back up with Will Downing and the rest of the people you've listed, what does go into that, and how do you prepare for it?
It's a lot of work because it's rare that folks give you the tools that you need.
Hmm.
So if I'm singing with Will Downing and I accept those gigs because it allows me to be featured in a solo spot. So Will Downing, when I sing background vocals with him, I do it because I know he's gonna feature me 2 or 3 times in his show. So technically people will either send you the MP3s or you have to go find them yourself. And then I have to sit and write out the lyrics and create in the lyrics if it's unison, if it's harmony, and any other little notes that I need to take, and I commit it all to memory. The same thing with Peebo Bryson. They send you the titles of the songs, and you have to go find the songs. And then when you get to the gig at sound check is when you hear their arrangement and you got to commit all of that. I mean, I guess they would allow me to have a book on stage, but I just don't like to. I like to commit it all to memory.
Wow.
And
That's skill right there. That's skill. A lot of skill. I mean, but we appreciate the effort. I did listen to some of your songs on your page and your CDs. Your voice is amazing. So
thank
thank
you.
you. Put it out there. Put it out there. So let's move over to your other business. I'm gonna say your main business, but the jazz concert series, Sweet Jazz Festival
Yeah.
concert. Talk more about how you moved into that space, what does it do, and where you're trying to take it.
Well, the interesting piece is I got introduced to behind the scenes of the music industry when I worked for Russell Simmons at Def Jam. So I was working with LL Cool J, Third Base, Slick Rick, Public Enemy. And so my job was to go to radio to get their records played. I covered the Mid-Atlantic to the Northeast. So I covered radio from DC up to Boston. And whenever those artists were in my market, I had to put together meet and greets before their concerts. I had to set up radio interviews. So that was my first taste of behind the scenes of the music industry. And I was absolutely awful. And I did not belong in that space,
Uh-huh.
but it prepared me in a lot of other ways, just helped to shape and mold me in a lot of other ways. And so fast forward to 2004.
Mhm.
Actually, 2003 was the first time I performed in St. Lucia. And I ended up doing 3 to 4 gigs there a month. And there was I was hired to do a private event. And the next year, the person had prepaid the artist, major artist, who shall remain nameless, but artists you've absolutely heard of.
Ooh.
They disappeared with the money. And so he reached out to me because he said, well, Tracy lives in the States. She must know everybody. I did not. But he said, can you get me, so I tried to help him find the artists. Their websites were down. Their cell phone numbers had changed, couldn't find their managers. So he said, can you get me somebody? It was like 4 weeks out for this party. And I got him Wayman Tisdale, Kirk Whalum, and Jeff Golub. And that was in 2005. And then the next year, so this party happened every year, and I started booking like Marcus Miller, Layla Hathaway, Sheila E., Gerald Albright. And so I started building relationships with the artists or the managers. So when I moved to Loudoun County and realized they had all of those wineries, I thought, well, jazz pairs well with wineries. And I have all this experience because I did the events in St. Lucia for 9 years. So I've literally been to St. Lucia 60 times between doing vocal workshops and performing for their jazz festival or coordinating this event, which I did for 9 years.
Mm.
And so, and I didn't realize the struggle that I was in for, because in St. Lucia, it was the birthday party for somebody that became a mini festival and kind of like an unlimited budget. Whereas when I did my jazz festival, I had to sell tickets and folks were not buying those tickets.
Mm.
So different
Mhm.
kind of stress.
Mhm.
And but I thought it would be great for me to do because I was seasoned with all the behind the scenes stuff and I could use it to give back to the community, because I tell people all the time, music saved my life. Music changed my life. If I did not have that path of pursuing my dream, I would have become a product of my environment. So if I can keep somebody else from becoming a product of a negative environment,
Mhm.
it definitely touches my soul and fills my cup. And so that's how I got started with doing the festival. So we did it for 2 years, and then COVID hit. And after COVID, I didn't have the finances to bring back the full festival, because the full festival was from 12 to 8 p.m. And we had multiple artists with food trucks, and people would bring their chairs and sit out, on the lawn. It was outdoors. We also had a VIP reception. I mean, a VIP package.
Mhm.
And then after COVID, I moved everything indoor, and it's just more of an intimate setting. But we give 2 scholarships, and to see these kids perform at each event, it just is amazing to me. And I think it's important to let people know, when I say partial proceeds go to support 2 students as well as a local charity, it's important to me that folks see this is where the partial proceeds are going to. These two people, they perform, they get their check, and we have the representative from the charity. They come give a blurb about their organization and receive their check as well.
Mm,
And
that's
then, of course, I perform, and it's just a fun night with great food and great people.
nice. And we back on schedule now? We rolling that out this what so coming spring, summer? When we doing it?
Well, so last year I started with a series and I've had three in the jazz concert series. So the next one is going to be spring and we're trying to figure out the date and how big we're going to go. But it's absolutely going to be indoor because having events outside, when you think about the weather, it just stresses me to no end. So I think it looks like we're going to stick with a concert series, but maybe have it a little bit bigger than what we did. This year we've done two. We did one in May and we did one in August.
Oh, May. I missed the one for May. That's my birthday month. I missed all
Oh
of that.
my,
See,
you miss it.
when I told you when I met you, I said, Tracy, I've not seen
I
action on
know.
that. And, the community I run in, no one said a word. So either I'm not
Which,
paying attention or whatever. In the Black Greek community in Loudoun County is pretty close. So I
mhm.
must have missed something. It's my fault. I'm sure I probably pay attention.
No, I mean, it's been really, really, really hard bringing awareness. I feel like with the last event, which was our fifth, I feel like we made tremendous strides in bringing awareness to the brand and what we do because a lot more people know about it because that's been the challenge. I mean, even though I've been on TV, the local morning shows in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, I've been in the local papers. I mean, I go to every networking event known to man, and it's just not enough. So
Well,
I just stay in the hustle.
plug in right now. Where can people go? We'll put in the show notes, but just go ahead and say it for those who may be listening and watching. Where can we find your information?
sweetjazzconcerts.com or tracyhamlin.com, TracyHamlin.com. So between the two on the websites and our social media page, we're just plugging. We boost our posts, we do sponsored ads, and in the local newspapers and on local morning shows.
Nice. Okay, well, I'm sure come around. I'll be looking for it. And I told you I want to come and cover and paparazzi the event. I want to come and
Yes, I would love to have you there. Absolutely.
out because we're doing more. I want to do more of those things. I think I got bit when I did the NBA All-Star game, and
That
that was
sounds
fun. Yeah, and I got to hang out with LeBron James's mom and her single moms thing that she did. She had a private brunch, and
nice.
I had access to the fashion show. You couldn't tell
Hmm.
me nothing. I had bought a camera. I had to stop at the local camera shop, put the settings on this thing, and make sure it's working. I had no idea. I'm snapping away, talking to everybody. I put it, and it took 2 issues to get it all out. But it was, yeah, I had a good time. So I need to do more of this. I need to do more covering stuff. So let me
That's
know,
awesome.
and OTB will be present. I will be in the house. We'll be in the house. But that's anything. So anything else we need to know? What else are you into? Any other projects? I mean, as if that's not enough, you got your label. Now, do you have any other artists on your label, or is it just you at this moment?
I have other artists on the label. We have Rodney Shelton was the most recent. So he had a single out. He had two singles out, and then he is also going to be releasing a Christmas EP. So they're coming out at the same time, but two completely different projects.
And for those who don't know, what is an EP?
Oh, I'm sorry. So an EP it's shorter than an album, but longer than a single. EP stands for extended play, but it's shorter than one single, but longer. I mean, it's shorter than an album, but longer than one single.
So we got a single in. I got a
And,
number 2 special with a side and an extra biscuit. Is that what you're telling me?
exactly. And so, and if an EP is at least 22 minutes, it
Mm.
qualifies to be in an album category for the Grammys.
Okay. Okay. So 22
Yeah.
minutes. So yours is in that range. So you're 22 minutes.
Mine will be in that range. So I'm a voting member of the Grammys. I'm a former national trustee. So I sat on the national board representing the voice of the independent artist through the DC chapter. And it's so interesting because with that experience, typically as a national trustee, it's 44 trustees. We're considered the bosses of the Grammys. And so we're involved in some of the very important decisions that you hear. And as a trustee, you may be on one national committee, rarely on two. I was on five. So I got a front row seat to all of the stuff that was going on, but I was just especially happy to be the voice of the independent or artist because it's an organization with like 20,000 members, but only 1% of those members are your A-list artists. Everybody else is like me.
Really?
Oh yeah, so I mean, I served with folks like um, John Legend and people that manage the big country artists and Beyonce's manager, and those are the folks that I served with. So I think it was very important so that they understand the plight of the independent artists and that whether we're household names or not, what we do equate to success to a lot of people, and folks want to hear our stories, and the rules that they make and the criteria that they create needs to be something within reach of the majority of the membership, which is independent artists like me.
Mm. Help me out. I got questions. Got questions. So
Okay.
you're saying indie artists. The only thing I'm not saying the only thing, maybe because the genre I run with. When you say
Mhm.
independent artists, what runs to mind are the rappers in the basement who make their own CDs and stuff like that. That is anybody who's not on a label is an independent artist. Is that correct?
Right. So when I say I'm an independent artist, that usually equates to I do not have a cash machine attached to me, and I am doing the majority of the work myself. So for me, I'm the label, I'm the agent, I'm the manager, I'm the tour manager. I'm doing, when it's time for me to record, I am the project manager. I'm choosing the songs, I'm choosing the instrumentation, I'm choosing who plays what, who produces, who engineers, getting the photo shoot done, arranging the songs in order, getting the mixed and master, choosing who and when and how and why. Yeah, so it's a lot.
So what would you say to up and coming aspiring indie artist who's watching and listening to you right now and they're getting all geeked and gassed? I want to try. What's your word of wisdom to them?
Oh, it's several words of wisdom. First of all, you have to understand that the music business is a business. And especially since we're in 2022 and so much information is available at your fingertips on the internet, take advantage of that. Um, Consistently work to perfect your craft. I mean, I've been doing this for years. I still practice, I still warm up. I'm still in the game like I just started this because it's important to make sure that I show up and show out every time I step out there on stage. Um, it is, and I think it's so important for you to be willing to invest in yourself, which investing in yourself now doesn't cost what it did back in 2005 when I started. Be willing to step out on faith, and if you feel like you fail, you have to take the positives from that because in order for you to succeed, and most times you have to fail first. So failing is not the negative that it sounds because that's how you learn and grow and you're able to reach your destiny and shine from failing and learning from those mistakes. So be willing to step out on faith and invest in yourself. You don't have to wait for a record label, you don't have to wait for a manager. We now live in a day and time
Hmm.
that you can do it all yourself.
Yeah, so some words right there. I love the word you dropped. Those who follow along with me all year, you use the word willing, and willing is my word of the year. So I have a word of the year, and this year's willing. Uh,
Yes.
what name was the title of the workshop? So, and that was one of the points is, are you have to be willing to do that? Most people, when they don't opt to do something and blame something else, or oh no, you're just not willing to make the effort. Point blank.
Yeah,
Period.
and I tell people all the time, opportunity is not going to personally come knock at your door. You have to be willing to create your
Mm-hmm.
own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and that's what I did. Like when I wasn't getting booked for gigs, I found popular clubs like in Atlanta, Birmingham, Alabama, New Orleans, Baltimore, and I would go to club owners and say, hey, you don't know me, but that's fine. This is what I've done. This is what I propose. Allow me to have 100% of the door. Allow me to sell my merchandise, my t-shirts, my CDs. I keep 100% of those sales. You keep 100% of your food and your alcohol sales, and we both share in promoting. And it's amazing how many people said yes. And the first couple of times I didn't win per se, but I was able to leave a blueprint so that when I came back the second time, it sold out. And so when I did it that way with becoming a promoter, I made more money as a promoter slash artist than I would have if they had just booked me in my band.
Wow. That's interesting. So those
Mm.
nuances. Do you teach a master class? I know you've been giving out baskets and lists, but do you do a master class?
Well, you know what? I do master vocal classes and, I've done them here. I've done them in Birmingham, Alabama. I've done them in Atlanta, and I've done a lot of them in St. Lucia, as well as the island of Grenada.
Mm. Yeah, the tactical side. I think for most, it's probably the things you mentioned, the booking, the business side of things where people probably fall short, can sing, can write, put it together. But like most artists, they're great artists, but they're horrible business people.
Right. And you know what's interesting? 2 hours ago, I was just on with students from Rider University in New Jersey in their music business class talking about a lot of this. And they also wanted to know about my process when I record because they couldn't believe that I was a singer and I produce my own vocals and I'm also engineering my own sessions and I'm the label. They're like, what do you do? What do you do to take care of yourself? And I'm like, I'm a spa girl. I go to the spa once a month and I make sure I put me on my calendar so that I'm taking me time because if I don't put my mask on first, I can't continue to do what I do and support the folks that I enjoy supporting.
Absolutely. Well, Tracy, I appreciate you coming on the show and taking time to speak with us about you and your journey, your music. You have a new fan, and we're looking forward to all the stuff coming down the road. And appreciate you joining the magazine.
Well, thank you so much. And I'd like to remind folks to visit my website, tracyhamlin.com. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm there. It takes a village to keep us indie artists thriving, and your support is much appreciated. And thank you so much for having me, sir.
You're welcome. And as always, if you can reach your dreams with a step ladder, then they're probably too low. I'm out.
Love that. Thank you.